Welcome back, Defenders. Jake here. Let's start by talking about the massive blaze at a fuel depot in Crimea after a Ukrainian drone strike. This happened early on Saturday. The huge blaze appears to be the latest in a series of strikes targeting Russian infrastructure on the occupied peninsula. And the pictures and videos of this oil depot fire are spectacular. My advice to you is that if you're currently pregnant or thinking about becoming pregnant, you might want to leave Crimea as the air does not look very healthy to breathe anymore. And I'll share just a little bit of the videos with you. I'll link them down below if you want to check them out for yourself. But this is what an oil depot fire looks like. And for the YouTube censors, the governor of Crimea did state that nobody died and nobody was injured in the fire. So I feel like I can share just a little bit of these clips with you to let you view how massive, massive an oil depot fire can be. Here's a video of a Russian firefighter from Sevastapol completely not in control of the situation. You pretty much just have to wait for the oil to burn off, and then you pour some water on the smoldering remains. So what was the damage done? And here's a satellite image of the oil depot facility. This is where all the ships coming in and out of the military port of Sevastopol were being refueled. So if the tank is X'd out in red, it was a complete loss. The yellow ones were damaged, but more than likely nothing in this general area is safe to be operated. So the Crimean fleet, the Black Sea Fleet, is going to have to be refueled elsewhere. This oil depot is going to be out of action for a while. And the governor of Crimea stated that the size of the fire was around 1,000 square meters, and he advised the residents of Crimea to remain calm. Once again, here's my source, YouTube. Nobody was injured. The drone attacks come one day after Kyiv said preparations for a long-awaited counteroffensive were nearly complete, having vowed to expel Russian forces from territory they seized in the east and the south. So is this the beginning of Ukraine's long-awaited counteroffensive? And definitely can't hurt. I don't think they're going to get to the naval port city of Sevastopol in the near term, but this strategically was a very important refueling station for Russia's military, and they just lost a lot of fuel. The next story is going to be difficult to talk about, but we have to add it to the very long list of war crimes and atrocities that the Russians are guilty of. Russian strikes kill 26, including 5 children. I've seen different estimates. Some put it at 23 with 6 children, but this occurred in the Ukrainian city of Uman. This is nowhere near the front lines, and the attack feels pretty random. But a Russian missile struck this residential apartment building in a completely residential, peaceful neighborhood. You can see what kind of damage and devastation the missile did to this apartment building. And to put a face on some of Russia's victims, here is a young mother with her 2-year-old daughter. Both were lost when the building was struck. And I don't know how to address or talk about those who have been lost. That's best done by the people who knew them. So here is a man who survived the attack. He lives in the building, talking about the neighbors that he just lost.
Сусідів нема. Оце мої сусіди. Коли їх нема нікого живих. На 9-му поверсі жила бабушка, дочка і 2 внуків. Нема їх. На 8-му батько з сином жив. Нема їх. На 7-му мама з дочкою жила. Нема їх. На 6-му жила молода сім'я, чоловік, жінка. Повезло просто, що їхній син жив через коридор у дідушки, у бабушки. Він остався живий. Їх теж нема. Тільки ввечері з ними всіма бачився. Ми тут всі з одного заводу, всі з 93-го року, як дом здали, ми всі заселилися, всі свої.
Pure terrorism, absolute evil. Here is a makeshift memorial for the people lost, including the 6 children. Boys aged 1.5, 16 and 17, girls aged 8, 11, and 14. And in times of tragedy, people look to their elected leaders for comfort and inspiration. I want to share one of President Zelensky's tweets in response to this attack. 6 children lost their lives in this attack in Uman. A total of 23 people died. Anyone who prepares Russian missile attacks must know that they will be an accomplice in this murder. Anyone who guides and launches missiles, anyone who handles planes and ships for terror, not just those who give orders, but all of them. They are all terrorists and murderers, and they must all be punished. And definitely those who committed the primordial crime from which all others began, the crime of aggression. It is not enough for Ukraine and the world that Russia is weak, as it is already happening. Russia must fully answer for everything it has done. And what is Russia's response to this attack on a civilian apartment building? And their response is right on target. Russia's defense ministry celebrates killing children in latest missile attack. Following a deadly attack that killed at least 23 civilians, Russia's defense ministry posted a picture of a missile launch lauding their own work right on target. And if it's bad enough that they enjoy what they did, they took it to the next level. This is George Orwell's 1984. They took footage of their own attack on Ukrainian civilians and then ran it on Kremlin State TV, Channel 1, stating that it was actually a Ukrainian attack on people in the Donbass region. Let me share this insanity with you.
За сутки по населенным пунктам ДНР киевские формирования выпустили почти 260 боеприпасов.
So here's the original footage of the Russian missile attack on Uman. And on Russian state TV, they used that footage to claim that Ukrainian mercenaries attacked an apartment building in the Donbass region. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you be this evil and can still sleep at night. All the historical comparisons that we can make, the most appropriate being to Nazi Germany, I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough for how immoral and evil the Russian people can be, targeting and killing children, celebrating it, and then telling your own people that it never happened, and actually it was people in the Donbass targeted by the Ukrainian military. President Zelensky says we can stop terror and save people, but only with the right weapons. In his evening address, President Zelensky condemned the large-scale missile strike that killed 26 people. Today, our Air Force managed to shoot down most of the Russian missiles, 21 out of 23. If not for this, the terrorist state would have managed to claim many more lives. And this proves, once again, that we can stop terror and save people, but only with weapons. So let's check in with the front lines in the city of Bakhmut. Kind of, sort of, still holds, not really. And of course, the mission for these Ukrainian defenders is just to buy time. Like clockwork, I feel like they just pull back one city street every 48 hours, slowly withdrawing out of the city back to the village of Chasiv Yar. And Kyiv states they are more than ready for their next offensive. Donated tanks and other vehicles have given Ukraine an armored fist needed to launch an offensive, according to Defense Minister Reznikov. We mention this in every video, but they're just waiting on the weather in order to launch the large-scale counteroffensive. And yes, this counteroffensive could happen on the city of Belgorod, it could happen in Luhansk, but more than likely, my amateur opinion, it's going to happen in the Zaporizhia region. And what the Ukrainians have to do is they have to make it to one of these three cities. They have to retake Melitopol, Berdansk, or Mariupol in order to cut off this road that goes along the coastline. Once Ukraine can reach the coastline and cut off this supply route, all of the Russian forces to the west of that cutoff point can't be resupplied. All the Russian forces currently in the region of Kherson, they're going to fall back to Crimea. They've already put defense lines in and made preparations to do this in the event Ukraine can reach this supply line. So it doesn't matter how they get there, if they want to start up here and zigzag this way or start up here and zigzag that way. Once this large-scale counteroffensive begins, it's going to take weeks. It's going to take months. Every time a battalion comes upon a defensive position, it's going to take a day or two to clear it out. Every time they capture Russian prisoners of war, it's going to take a day or two to process them and get them behind the front lines. So this is going to be a very difficult summer for the Ukrainian people. The casualties for both sides are going to be in the tens of thousands. This is not going to be fun to watch. This is not a video game. This is not a sport. This is war, but Ukraine has to win. And Ukraine might get some help from the Wagner Group. Prigozhin threatens to pull Wagner out of Bakhmut if not given munitions. So Prigozhin has threatened to abandon his positions next to Bakhmut if he doesn't get more supplies from the Kremlin. So this drama queen doesn't like that he's been basically cut off from additional soldiers and additional supplies. And he's directly calling out Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, saying, "Give me what I want, otherwise I'm just going to pack up all my troops and go back to Africa." So let me share just a little bit of this clip with you.
И я обращаюсь к Шойгу Сергею Кожугетовичу с просьбой выдать незамедлительно боеприпасы. В случае отказа от этой выдачи считаю необходимым довести до Верховного Главнокомандующего информацию о существующей проблеме для принятия решения и о целесообразности дальнейшего нахождения подразделений ЧВК «Вагнер» в населенном пункте Бахмут в условиях сложившегося дефицита боеприпасов.
This guy is a mass murderer. I do think someone, probably a Russian, will take him out in the next couple months. He's just making too much noise. So big picture, what is going on with the Wagner Group and the regular Russian military? And apparently it's being reported that Putin has ordered the entire city of Bakhmut, 100%, must be taken by May 8th in time for the Soviet Victory Day parade in Moscow on May 9th. Putin, has threatened Shoigu and others with dire consequences if they don't take 100% of the city of Bakhmut before their stupid parade. So it's possible that the Wagner Group might deliberately retreat out of the city of Bakhmut in the coming days in order to screw over Shoigu and the regular Russian military. This would be a perfect way for Prigozhin to set up Shoigu and other generals. I don't really think this is going to happen. I think Prigozhin would destroy his own reputation by doing this, but it is a funny idea and would be hilarious if he did that. What else is Putin up to? Putin forces Russian citizenship on the occupied territories. Putin signs decree allowing for the deportation of residents in Ukraine's temporarily occupied territories who refuse to accept Russian citizenship. I don't really understand this. How can Russia threaten deportation to Ukrainian citizens in the occupied territory? This is a genuine question. I don't know the answer to it. But let's say you live in the city of Berdyansk and you want to go to Ukrainian-controlled territory. You don't want to live in occupied territories. Does Russia even allow for a green zone for people to flee the occupied territories? What I'm getting at is, how can you threaten deportation to people who don't want to be there in the first place? So I don't know, maybe Russia does allow people to leave who want to leave, but I don't think they do. So in the comments section, if someone has an answer to this, let me know, because this is a confusing threat when more than likely if you refuse Russian citizenship, you'll just be arrested and put in jail, probably tortured. Putin signs life sentence penalty for treason into law. Other amendments include penalties for aiding organizations like the International Criminal Court. Putin has signed into law new amendments to Russia's criminal code, increasing the penalties for treason, terrorism, and aiding the work of international organizations in which Russia is not a member. So pretty much, if you're a Russian citizen, you can now be sent to prison for life for the most flimsiest of reasons. I didn't mention this story last month, but it got a lot of international headlines. Russian man arrested for daughter's anti-war drawing. So this 12-year-old in school drew a picture saying that she was against the war, and her father was arrested for being an enemy of the state. This now goes with a life sentence penalty. And if you go to jail, congratulations, you can now be recruited into the Russian military and sent to Ukraine. Here are some other random stories. 6 Russian logistics officers have been found guilty of stealing more than 360 tons of aviation kerosene. Each got off with fines equivalent to $627. Yeah, the math there doesn't really add up. A Russian colonel has been arrested for stealing 7 T-90 tank engines worth $251,000. Corruption in the Russian military? I'm shocked. He's just been arrested. We don't know what his punishment will be. Maybe it will be a fine of $627. I don't mention these fires in my videos, but every day in Russia, there are unexplained massive fires. This time it's in the capital city of Moscow. You can see the downtown right there. And there's never really any follow-up or explanation or investigation what caused these massive fires in Russia. I'm mentioning this one because it's close to Victory Park in Moscow. So it's unbelievable that Putin and the Russians are insisting on having a parade through Red Square when there are so many arsonists within their country looking to disrupt things. Final couple feel-good clips. The first one's incredible. This is a rare video of a wild marbled polecat that got trapped in a Ukrainian trench position. So this defender is trying to help the animal out of the hole.
Як його витягнути, бля?
Він ж кусається, що ли?
Так понятно, що він зараз працює. Я не знаю, як його витягнути. Блін, я пострілю каремата. Він по ньому може вилізти. Тихо. Такое. Вот. Давай. Выходь. Куда? Ух, блядь, диви, він хоче напасти. Чекай, я знаю, що. Мабуть, я броніка кину, да? По броніку він точно вийде. Тихо. Так, бляха, не нападай, а? О! По броніку він вийде. Давай, пішов. Пошел. Давай.
He eventually figured it out. Next clip I have for you is a Ukrainian defender playing a piano somewhere in the war zone. Hopefully he's not giving away his position to the enemy, but I definitely could listen to some more of that. Final clip I have for you is Ukrainian children singing a song in support of the children who were killed in Uman.
Вони можуть розбомбити щастя, вони можуть розстріляти мрію, але вбити в полю їм не вдасться. Кожен буде знати, що посіяв. Вони можуть розбомбити щастя, вони можуть розстріляти мрію, але вбити волю їм не вдасться. Кожен буде знати, що посіяв. Кожен буде.
That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.